Awesome. Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Karthik. I'm one of the co-founders at iSTEM. I'm joined by my co-founder, Shakul. And first of all, warm welcome to Inclusive STEM Confluence. This is, it's so good to have you all of you join us this year for this Confluence. And, this being virtual has also given us the ability to basically have more and more participants kind of join in and explore what is possible using AI and how can we work together to basically develop technologies that can help people with disabilities, especially given COVID-19 and all of the challenges that we are facing right now. And so thanks again for your interest. Thanks again for everything that you do right now, but also super excited to see what we can do together in in these next couple of weeks to try and see what new ways can technology be leveraged to make things more accessible. Today's session is going to be a very informal session. It's just going to be an introduction session where I'm going to briefly talk about what Confluence is about, give you a little bit of history as well, and then go over some logistics and rules and what the expectation is. But the majority of the time, I really want to try and spend answering your questions, any questions that you might have about team formation or ideas or how to just use the platforms that we are using or any concerns that you might have. More than happy to take that and try to help you out in any way that we can. So that's kind of like the primary goal of today's session. Does anyone have any questions before I get started, or I can kind of just start talking about Confluence and how how it all started and where we're at right now? Does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or you can put it in chat and we'll take it from there. Again, and throughout the session, feel free to stop me. Really want this to be an interactive session. So any questions right now?
So, hi Karthik, Ankit this side.
Yes, Ankit.
So Karthik, I have a couple of questions, but I think it is better to ask, as it goes, or what do you think?
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Anyone else who has any other questions that,
Yeah, Karthik, Sachin here. So
Hi.
basically, yeah, this is like a first time attending this meeting, so like I think
Uh-huh.
also this is guys. So I just would like to know how we can contribute there. So I hope you would be coming to that point, but just my intention to like attend this meeting, just I want to know the clear ideas like where we can contribute and how we can contribute. What is the
Yes.
platform for?
Yes,
That's
I will get to that. I will get to that. Yeah.
Hello, Karthik.
And
This is
yes.
Siva Suresh here.
Hi.
Hi. See, again, I'm a person with visual impairment, and this is my first time attending this iSTEM conference.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have no idea, um, how to go about with it, or how to contribute my idea
Right.
into it.
Right.
What exactly will actually go in all these things. There are a lot of things which are running in my mind. I really have like
Right.
zero knowledge about it. So
Yes. So yeah, I will come to that. I think a better thing might be, let me give you guys some background and then I can take specific questions as we go along. So this really started out in 2018, and the idea at that time was, well, how do we get people with and without disabilities who might be in technology to come together? And the objectives were, there were multiple objectives. One of the objectives was, how do we try and develop this empathy in people without disabilities about how do people with disabilities work? What are screen readers, for example, or other assistive technologies that people might be using? And how do we just get the message across that people might be using different tools, but at the end of the day, everyone basically codes, right? And the output pretty much remains the same. And so that's kind of like how we started out with. And so basically we've had three of those. Each of these three were essentially in-person hackathon / confluences at Triple IT Bangalore. And this year, of course, because of COVID, we basically made this virtual. And so what used to happen in all of those three confluences were multiple things. One of the things, most important things, was the hackathon, where people with and without disabilities would get together for 24 hours and they would hack on things that essentially the team wanted to hack on. The first two hackathons were very, very flexible and generic in terms of the kinds of ideas and sort of projects that you could hack on. And The third one in 2020, we wanted to make sure that it was slightly more constrained in terms of what the people were working with, were working on to make the most of it. And so that's kind of the first time when we came up with themes and people would basically code and develop projects on these themes. So this is kind of like how it has been, or it had been, these past 3 years. I know some of you participated in these hackathons in prior years as well. So it's great to have you back again. But again, this year, when I think about Confluence, there are a couple of things that are happening differently, and a couple of components that are, that this hackathon consists of. So there are three components when I think about them, right? So the first component is the hackathon. The second component are the webinars. And the third component is essentially inclusive hiring / employment opportunities. These are the three components that we'll be talking about today. And I guess most of you right now are most interested in hackathon, and perhaps some of you in hiring as well. So that's kind of like what I'll be focusing most of my time on today and talking about. So the hackathon this year is essentially a 6-week hackathon. Doesn't mean that you have to code all 6 weeks. Doesn't mean that you basically leave everything else and basically just kind of like code 24/7. I mean, that's not the expectation, and that's precisely why this is left at 6 weeks, so that you and your team can figure out what is the most optimal timings for you to spend some time on the project, whether that is coding, whether that is ideating, whether that is brainstorming and coming up with designs and coming up with what the flows should be, what the product should be, all of those modalities, etc. All of that kind of stuff is something that you have 6 weeks for. The hackathon officially started out this Monday. Now, how this works? So is anyone here not on Discord right now, which is the platform that we are using to run Confluence? You can type it in chat, or you can just unmute yourself and just say if you're not on Discord yet. Okay, so I take that silence as everyone is on Discord. So Discord is the channel, the platform that we are using to run this hackathon or this Confluence this year. All of the announcements will be posted on Discord. And you might have seen that there are 2 channels that we have created on Discord, one of them being participant intros and the other one being ideas. And the whole point of that is we want you to introduce yourself, if you haven't already, on the participant intros, get to know other participants as well. And then ideas is basically where, especially people with disabilities, start talking about the challenges that they face in one of the 3 themes for this hackathon. So the 3 themes are education, employment, and social connection. So what we're hoping is that people with disabilities will come in and will basically share challenges that they think we can actually develop some technical prototypes on, right? Again, 6 weeks is not a lot of time. It may seem so, but when you're thinking about development, so keep that in mind as you're thinking about some of these challenges and ideas. And so the idea is that people with and without disabilities, people with disabilities share these ideas, and there'll be a conversation on many of these ideas. And that's kind of like how we'll move towards team formation. And so really the onus is on the participants this year to really try and figure out, okay, what problem statements do they want to work on that kind of are related to one of these 3 themes, and can they actually go and rally support and try and find people who want to work with them on these projects, especially if you're a non-technical person, someone who can code. Because at the end of the day, the hackathon is all about prototype. Now, it doesn't have to be, it is okay if it's partial. It is okay that, if you come up with like, a great, awesome idea with a very detailed execution plan and, how you're going to market it, we will consider that. But ideally, and this is a part of how the judging works, ideally, we would love to see some sort of a technical prototype per team. And so, there are a lot of developers out there in the community right now who've signed up. And so what we ask for people who are non-technical to really try and figure out who is it that, from the introductions and from ideas, who is it that is expressing interest, right? And try and form those teams. Now, we will also be chiming in from time to time, trying to, suggest some problem statements. But again, we don't want you guys to rely on us or the organizers in general to give you those problem statements. The whole point of creating this community chat kind of a platform was for you to kind of like come up with these ideas organically, and we not kind of feeding in problem statements for you to work on. We will share some samples, but again, the hope is that you would have these samples anyways from the richness of the community that we have on there on Discord right now, and many more people joining as we speak today. So that's kind of like essentially what is going to be happening in the hackathon as far as the team formation is concerned. Now, there are no limits on the team formation. So a team can have as many or as few people. Honestly, if you're a technical person, or even if you are a non-technical person and you have a really strong, there's an idea that you want to submit, it's okay to be solo as well. If you can't find a team, you by all means can just submit your idea. That is perfectly all right. And so basically, the idea would be you would try to find teams. If you can't, you work solo. Otherwise, you basically work on a team, and we'll be sharing very soon a spreadsheet that you will have to update once you have a team formed. Or if you're solo, you just put yourself there, so that we have a good sense of who is working on what, and how is the team formation coming along and how it's shaping up. So that's kind of essentially what's going to happen as far as the team formation is concerned. And then what's going to happen, sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry, my bad. What's going to happen after that is, so you work on this, and the deliverable will be a 3-minute video. In this 3-minute video, we basically want you to record, a brief about what the problem is, what you're trying to do, what did you do, a demo to us, what kind of a prototype that you came up with, and submit that. So that's going to be a deliverable. And if you do have code, we ask that you basically share your GitHub code repo with us, and as well as if you've deployed that code somewhere, and if there's a live app, web or mobile or what have you, then you basically share a link to that deployed version as well. So that is basically what we're expecting in terms of deliverables and team formation and ideation and stuff like that. Now, in terms of what you can build, there are no limits again. It can be a software. If you do have the resources, go ahead and do something hardware if you want to. So again, what kind of technologies can you use? You can use whatever you want. Right from a simple sort of maybe like just a simple web app to something more crazy that might be using AI or a blockchain or I don't know, all sorts of things. Something to also keep in mind is that if you go to our website, inclusivestem.org, you can actually see some ideas from like the previous iterations of this hackathon. And so that might actually also be some sort of inspiration to kind of give you a sense of what the winning projects were each year, and just for you to kind of like just help you out, like understand and better get better clarity or on what is it that you can do. But in general, this is really, really flexible. There are no sort of hard limits in most things, and that is we deliberately wanted to keep it that way. So again, some rules, team formation, no limits, themes. I've already talked about the 3 themes. You can ask for support if you need it. So for example, if there's something related to like AI, ask me for help. I mean, my background, for example, is in AI. If there's something else that is related to web dev, try to like get support from within the community as well, right? I mean, try to help other teams using expertise that you might have. For example, if there's a team that is working on something for deaf and hard of hearing, then maybe there are folks who are from the deaf and hard of hearing community. Maybe provide some perspective to that team. So help each other out. That's the beauty of a hackathon. And try and ask us for support when you need support, whether that is accessibility, whether that is just computing in general, or whether that is just brainstorming help. More than happy to provide any support or guidance as needed. Both when I say us, I actually mean the like all of the organizers. So just let us know how we can help you out. Again, for Hackathon platform Discord, is anyone facing any accessibility challenges using Discord right now?
Cheryl, do let us know if you see any questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So Shakul and Karthik, I was facing one difficulty difficulty. It's not a difficulty, but the problem. When I was trying to write the message on Discord platform now, while giving my introduction and all those stuff. So I was thinking that after writing the message, there was a problem to change line and also while sending that text. I mean, it was not that flexible. Can you please help me out?
Okay, yeah, we can work on some of those things. Discord, by the way, is not the most accessible. We are aware of that. Unfortunately, what has happened is some of the other accessible platforms, either there have been some issues, or a lot of them have become inaccessible. So it was a very sort of hard. It was kind of like a hard task to really try and figure out what.
Just to answer Ankit's query quickly, if
Yeah.
you press Ankit's shift tab, you will go to next line and you just hit enter to send the message across. To change the line, just enter shift tab, and to send the message, just press enter on the keyboard. And if you are using the mobile app there is a button allows you to send the message across.
Okay, thanks, Sakulam.
Sure.
Karthik, I have one question here. So just trying to understand this hackathon part. So you are saying that we have a freedom to do any kind of idea, like this will be very organic, like we will be creating idea, we will be completing that, right?
Yes.
So just my concern is just what if we are someone is trying to duplicate, might be your previous
Yeah,
hackathon.
exactly. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Don't worry about it. Every idea, even if it's a duplicate, it actually, I mean, the way you implement it, the way you design it, the way you talk about it, the way, I mean, again, there could be, I mean, if I'm trying to build like another Facebook, I might have like 1,000 different approaches in how I want to build Facebook, right? So just the fact that I'm building Facebook does not necessarily disqualify you or make your project any less compelling. I think what is interesting for us or to us is really how is it that you're reimagining something that exists today, right? So that is perfectly fine. Also, it might happen that two teams are working on the same idea. That's perfectly fine as well. So don't worry about. I mean, of course, you try to like think about. Well, don't reinvent the wheel, right? But don't stress about. Oh, is this really unique? Is there anything in the world that does something similar? Because the chances are very high that there would be something somewhere, right? So don't worry too much about it. Just make sure that you're really solving a genuine, practical problem, and you have a good solution and a clear solution in terms of how you want to go about solving that problem. And any ideas that you might have had before the event. It's not important that these ideas have to be thought of between now and the end of the hackathon. So by all means, feel free to bring in any ideas that you have. Teams can work on ideas that have already been done. Again, this is to your point, right? So it's okay if it's not completely original. We're more interested in how you approach the problem and what you come up with. Now, for some people, they might have already worked on some projects. That is okay if you want to, develop on an idea that you worked on before. In that case, just make sure that you convey that in your video or the final submissions. We're more interested to understand what did you do again, to be fair to everyone during these 6 weeks, so that judges can evaluate you accordingly. But it's totally okay to kind of build on existing things that you might have worked on before. And also on ideas that you might have had before. I mean, just the whole point of just kind of be completely open about what is it that you're doing now and what was done before. Of course, it's okay to use any libraries, frameworks, or open source code in your projects. And I mean, of course, the only exception would be working on a project before the hackathon and open sourcing it just to use it in the hackathon. Of course, would go against the spirit of the hackathon, so we don't want you to do that. And again, adding new features to existing products is completely fine. Now, again, in terms of how the project will be submitted, we will send more instructions closer to March 31st to tell you how, where, this needs to be submitted. But again, the deliverables will be that 3-minute video that I talked about, as well as if you have any code repo and a link to the working functional prototype that you might have had. That is what our expectation is that you would submit. Now, in case you were unable to develop a technical prototype, what we do expect you to do is basically submit a report and a video explaining what your idea is, how you think it will be implemented, kind of a detailed execution plan and a detailed adoption plan, right? So how are you going to market it? Who's going to use it? How will you sustain this, right? Like, Are you going to charge people money for it, or are you going to basically sustain in some other way, right? Like, how do you make sure that the project is sustainable? Um, I didn't want to go over the judging criteria as well. So there are 5 things that judges will be looking for. Technology. So of course, how technically sophisticated was the hack? How impressive was it? What kinds of cutting edge sort of tools and technologies and research did you use? Design and accessibility is obviously it has to be accessible. So if you are new to accessibility, no worries. We would have mentors and again, people with disabilities amongst the community itself who can basically help you learn more about accessibility and make sure that your hack is accessible. So that's kind of like one criteria, making sure how accessible, but also how usable it is. How easy it is to use for someone with a disability. So that's kind of the second criteria. Completion is the third one. So whether you were able to complete what you thought you would be able to complete, that's kind of the third criteria. Learning is the fourth one. What did you learn as part of this, right? And this is both for people without and with disabilities, right? So maybe there was an aha moment during these weeks. We would love to hear about that in your 3-minute video. So, and the last one is diversity. Needless to say, that we really strongly recommend people with and without disabilities in every team. This is again 20% of your score as well, to make sure that especially for people, actually for both people with and without disabilities, you're going out of your comfort zone and really trying to meet other people and putting your biases aside and really I mean, in some cases also putting yourselves in challenging situations or new situations and really learning from those situations. So that is something that we really hope would come out for some of you as part of this event. Well, some of the things that we don't care about, how good your code is, don't worry about documentation. No one's going to read your code. It's a hackathon. How well you pitch, we don't care about, oh, is this person using like the best way to kind of pitch? Is it like, some crazy things happening? Well, that is not a part of it. We're more interested in what is it that you're trying to solve? What is the solution? What did you come up with? What did you learn? All of those things are way more or much more important to us than just kind of like your oratory or your pitching skills. Again, so those are some of the most important things that we'll be looking for. In terms of prizes and awards, so yeah, the winner gets 51,000, the runner-up gets 31,000, the second runner-up gets 21,000. Sometimes we have special awards as well. There were some special awards, I think last year or the year before. So it totally depends if we have other people that we really want to, other projects that we want to recognize as well. So that's kind of like what the prizes are for this year. That actually completes what I had for the hackathon. I want to take a minute and just answer any questions that people might have about the hackathon at this point in time.
So Karthik, then I would like to ask those questions that I had.
Yes, go for it.
Yes. So the first question is, when you talked about the GitHub repository, right? So is it necessary whatever we'll be developing? I mean, it is guaranteed that we'll show our demo and all those things, video, live demo, whatever you want. But it is necessary to provide the code as well.
Ideally, yes. I mean, the idea would be to open source these and see how other people can benefit, but that is not necessarily a requirement. If you have a solid reason for why you would not want to do this, that is fine. Again, be careful about IP in general, because if you are developing with a team, you should discuss IP considerations with your team members as well to see, are they okay with, for example, let's say, all of you having the IP. I mean, from an ISTEM perspective or from the organizer's perspective, we're totally fine with that. But again, the intention was to make it public source, open source, and public to everyone. If your team does not want to do that, and it's a collective decision, and your team collectively wants to kind of like hold the IP and do something awesome with it later, absolutely, go ahead.
Thanks. And the second thing is, when you talked about that any kind of support, if we need, we can kind of let any of you know. So yeah. Whenever we'll be working on some very much innovative ideas or anything else, what if we need some mentoring? Will you get any dedicated mentor, or we just kind of write to any of you and you'll get it?
No, you write to us and you tell us specifically what you need, and we'll try to find you someone who specifically can help with that query. So you won't necessarily have like a project mentor per se.
Okay.
The whole point of actually having corporate professionals join in as well is they kind of like also serving as that mentor, except that they would, our hope is that they would be hands-on mentors as well. So again, the hope is that your team itself would have people who have, let's say, more experience, who will be able to kind of like provide that kind of mentorship that you're talking about.
Great. And my last question would be that judging part. I mean, whenever, because I was there at the last hackathon as well. So in that case, there was a live demo. So live demo in front of all the judges. So this year that won't be happening, or I mean, we'll be having live demo through the Zoom call or anything else. Or
it'll be different. So you would have pre-recorded videos, and then you'll be sharing your deployed
applications, whatever we develop.
Whatever. Yeah. So the judges will basically be able to try it out themselves.
Okay, so basically they will be watching those videos out, and based on that, the decision will be made.
That is correct. And we will have some question and answers as part of the final, but we still have to figure out the logistics in terms of how long it's going to be and those kinds of details. So you can expect some more details on that front later.
Sure, we can take it later on. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Karthik.
Any other questions, guys?
People can simply type their questions up in the chat box. It's not necessary for you to speak up.
Yeah, if you can try it. You can just put it in the chat, or you can just unmute, whatever works better for you.
Hello, this is Soundarya, and I was a little bit late. My question is, how many members can be in a team?
There are no limits. You can be a solo team member, and you can have, again, I mean, 10, 12, whatever you want. However, we do recommend, usually what we've found in our experience doing it for the past 3 years, usually 3 to 5 is a good number to target.
And is there any specific domain that we should be limited to? Like,
yes, there are 3 themes. Yes, there are 3 themes: education, employment, and social connection. Your idea should be related to one of these 3 themes. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be
that. I mean, is there anything like I need to develop only an app and not a web application or anything like that?
No. You can do software, hardware. If you want to go crazy, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can use AI, you can use blockchain, you can use whatever.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Also, just another thing, that each of you would have received an email from me containing the hackathon packet. Strongly recommend you all to go through that packet and also ask any doubts which you have from that packet as well, because that packet contains all the minute details of the event.
Yeah, I actually have that packet open up right now, and I'm actually referencing that packet. So that packet has everything that you would need to know. So if there's anything now or later, I mean, please read that packet and let us know on Discord or otherwise if you have any questions. Any other questions about any of this right now?
So when is the hi, I'm Vaishnavi here. I would like to know, when is the last day for submission of all these ideas?
March 31st.
March?
No, I think Karthik, she's asking about submitting ideas, not the projects.
Well, there is no such thing as ideas, right? So I mean, it's for the team to figure out the ideas and basically start working on it. So there are no multiple phases. So when you come up with an idea, and if there are other people who want to work with you on that idea, start working. The last day to submit the projects is March 31st.
You said that we shouldn't be open sourcing an already existing project for this, but what if I have already a project and I build something new after open sourcing it, like on top of it?
That is completely okay. So I said you shouldn't be open sourcing a project just for the sake of using this project as a hackathon project.
Right.
Because that would, of course, then go against the spirit of the hackathon, that you only basically kind of use that sort of loophole in there to leverage open source components and libraries or what have you. But if you are building on top of that, then yes, the rule regarding any other open source repository being used more to kind of more as a component for this project, that is completely okay. Now, we would want to know when you're making your video or in a description or what have you, whenever you're submitting this, judges would want to know what is it that you've done as part of the hackathon and what is it that you had already before the hackathon. So,
one more question. And like, how free are we to choose the domain? For example, let's say I know that we need to build something, among the three options that we have, and one of them is education. Is it okay if I build something, for example, which makes the game of chess more accessible? Because that is nowadays very much a part of education, and it enables blind people to play against a sighted person in equal terms. No, I mean, I'm not claiming that it's a part of education, but I just want to know how much,
Yeah. See, again, my opinion does not really count because I wouldn't be on the jury. That is sort of a stretch, in my opinion, if I were to be honest with you. Now, again, it totally also depends on how you pitch it.
Yeah.
You make it sound as if, oh, when I talk about education, education is not just rote learning or academics or books and this and that. Education is way more holistic than that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is included is this. Well, yeah, I think there is some merit there, but now whether the judges would think, like me is something that, of course, it's hard for me to say. So yes, you do take a risk. And you would never know until the results come out. And unfortunately, I mean, yeah, we will help you to the best of our ability. We can kind of share our perspective with you, me and the rest of the organizers in the team. But ultimately, these are independent judges who get to make a decision and determine whether or not your idea, was aligned with one of the themes that we had. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? This is really for all of you, so please don't be shy.
Karthik, this is Khandu here from Mumbai. Hi.
Yeah.
Well, see, just wanted to know whether if you're making a groups and all, what will be the timing or calendar that you'll be giving? Because I've recently joined. I don't know whether you have told or not for the discussion, for the ideas.
Yeah. It's free flowing. There are no restrictions from us, and it's a very deliberate decision again to keep the registrations open until March 25th. People will continue to trickle in, bringing in more ideas, and so it really totally depends on you. Like if you, let's say there's an idea that is being discussed on the ideas channel right now. So there are already a couple of channels on Discord.
Right.
So if there's an idea that resonates with you, and there are other people who are also kind of like share. One of the things that I would strongly recommend, by the way, is please say when you like an idea, or when you think you might be willing to work on that, right? Just so you guys can then start to create like your own groups. So there's a functionality to create your own private groups without iSTEM or other people coming and helping and creating them for you. So even if there is like a slight interest in an idea, send a direct message to this person, or maybe create a small group and try to understand what is it that this could result in, or what is it that you could potentially develop given that idea, and ultimately decide is this something that you think would add value, and is this something that you think you would want to spend some time on in the next couple of weeks. And if the answer is yes, then we would actually be floating very soon a sheet where we would love for you to indicate, okay, well, I have my team now, and this is what my team is, and here's a team lead. It could be one of the any one of the team members. There's a team lead, and we're working on this. This is a short description of our solution, just for us to kind of know how this is all going, panning out, and if there's something that we can help out with. So that's essentially how it's going to flow. So we're not going to say, oh, I want ideas by tomorrow, or hey, I want ideas by 1st March. But again, we suggest the sooner the better, right? You need some time to start working on your projects as well. So please make the best use of those ideas channels. Like, let there be some noise there.
Definitely.
And talk about like all the different problems, all the different ideas you have, and see and get some support from other people and try to form your teams. Now, as a last resort, sometimes what we've had to do is basically reach out to people based on their interests and kind of like do that work for you guys, where it's like, oh, this might be a good team, but we don't want to do that. We want you to tell us, oh, I think this person is cool and I want to work with this person. I think the idea is awesome, right? So again, it's also okay to develop individually. Again, as I said before, solo teams, so to say, are okay. But again, there are evaluation criteria that you would miss points on. For example, diversity, which is 20% of the score. We do want a team to be people with and without disabilities. Especially if you're non-technical, you might be missing out on the technology criteria, which is 20% of your score as well. So try to meet other people, try to see what ideas they bring to the table, and try to see what is it that you might be interested in, get involved. That is kind of what
one small request, Karthik, to you.
Yeah.
Could you please share the list of the participants with the skills to everyone, so that each and everyone will know that like some of them are very good at coding, some of them are very good at ideas, so that each and everyone will have the recognition of everyone.
Okay, sorry, you're cutting out. I don't know if it's my internet or yours. The participant intros.
Andu, you are cutting off. We cannot hear you at all.
I think there's a connection issue.
I don't think that he can hear us as well.
Okay.
Karthik?
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll just answer that question.
Shari, can you mute him?
Yeah, and can you communicate to him via chat if you're unable to hear him? I think his connection is breaking. Sharon?
Yes.
Can you mute him, please?
Can you mute Kandu?
I did.
Oh, that's weird.
Yes, now it's better.
Okay, all right, yeah. I think there was one more question.
Hello, yes, it's me here.
Yeah, tell me.
This is Shiva Suresh here. So I would like to come up with something based on the assessment. Like when it comes to education, I want to come up with something like assessment.
You mean like exam taking experience?
What, come again?
You mean
Everybody
exam?
Okay.
Yes, taking exams.
Okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Just give us 1 second, Kandu. There's another question here. Let's complete this question and then we'll come back to you.
So how do I get a person or how do I get a developer who can actually draft my idea into a prototype and I can submit as a project? Because I'm not into a technicality, I am into accessibility. I worked as an accessibility tester in Barrier Break. Recently, I came out of it. So I wanted to understand how it actually worked together and how I can form a team. So I basically have an idea to develop something on the assessment part in the, field of.
I get it. I think what I would suggest is flush that idea out more, really get to the specifics. What is it that you want to do? Think about it and come up with like an idea statement and post it on the ideas channel, and see if you can get other people to get excited about it. And the ideas channel really should be the platform or the mechanism through which you find other developers and other non-developers even, who you can team up with and bring this to life.
Yeah, one biggest challenge with Discord is sometimes it is very difficult to navigate in the platform.
Okay. Well, I guess what we can do is
we can take this offline. I can help you out. Just let me know the specific problems and I can guide you through.
Thank you so much. I asked Sunil once. He helped me in creating the account and all, but I don't know how convenient for him to answer every time. So I just
collect your thoughts and just I can get with you on a call and we can discuss.
Yeah, and don't worry about bugging the iStem team. We're
Yeah,
there to support you.
we are always
Yeah.
there to support you. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
so
it.
yeah.
Just ask for help when you need it, because if you won't ask, you won't get it.
Yeah,
Just ask. Don't shy away
that
about it.
is there, but yeah, definitely I'll get back.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, I think the other thing that we will also, I mean, if multiple people are facing platform issues, we would love to hear back. We'd love to hear from you guys and see if there are be other platforms that you use that might be more comfortable, right? Because again, to be very honest with you, it's very hard to find an accessible platform that worked for everyone. And so, yes, we do know actually that this is not ideal, and we do know that this is not perfect. We didn't want to go and create a separate platform, like just to kind of like do this, and we wanted to kind of use an existing like mainstream platform. But again, if there are major accessibility concerns and issues that you guys are running into, please yell on the channel as well, because again, I think one other thing is if there are multiple people facing the same issue, we might actually also just do a session like this, right? To make sure that we can help everyone. I mean, then we don't have to do it like one-on-one. That's kind of like another way. So please, if you face accessibility issues on Discord or in another ways, right? Like whether you face accessibility issues in participating in these meetings or anything like that, like please let us know, because we want to be as inclusive as possible for everyone. So.
Let's just answer Kandu's question now.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. My small request was, can we share the list of the participants to everyone along with their skills? So each and everyone will come to know about the ideas, skills, whatever they're having. And according to that, it will be easier to create a group according to the ideas. This is what my
Yeah.
request was.
So the participant intros and the ideas channels are actually meant to do that. I mean, again, now some people aren't necessarily talking about their skills, but something that I think, again, the intention there was that people are going to be talking about what they do, what their skills are, and how they can help in the participant intros. So you can get to know participants, and then ideas is all about people's ideas, and you kind of reading about what people want to work on, and really trying to then find teams using those channels. So that's kind of like what the intention was. Are you facing like any issues trying to navigate, or?
So Kandu, there is a separate channel called Participant Intro, where participants are supposed to introduce themselves about what their strength is and what they'd love to do and all that, where ideally everyone should be introducing themselves to let others know what are their strengths and capabilities and stuff like that. So if you feel strongly about it, you can just write on that channel the guy, hey, this is I am and this is what my strength is. I would love to know other people as well. And if you already, and many of them have actually already introduced themselves, you can go on over there and read about their skills and strengths.
Does that answer your question?
We cannot hear
We
you.
cannot
in
hear
case
you.
you're
Yeah.
speaking.
I would say let's move on. Anyone else who has a question at this time?
Karthik, one small question, I'll take this side.
Yes.
That is there any concept of kind of team leader or team representative or?
Yes. So
something like
that spreadsheet will have a team lead that we can communicate with.
Okay, so each team will have a team representative who will be the kind of point of contact, right? Initial point of
Yes.
contact.
Yes. But the video will be everyone on the team. So it's not as if the video would just be the team lead. The video would be everyone, and the team lead is just to make it easier for us and for the team, just to communicate with us. Yes.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next section real quick, just in the interest of time, and we can come back for more questions. The other one is webinars and workshops and resources, essentially. So every Wednesday, we are going to have a networking session like this, where people can come and introduce themselves and discuss ideas and brainstorm ideas. This is in addition to whatever you do on Discord, just to make sure that as many people as possible can get to meet each other and talk to each other. So I would recommend, especially until you're able to find a team, try to make it to these Wednesday sessions, the same time, the same link. We'll post on Discord as well, so everyone knows about it. And so that is something that's going to happen. And the other thing that is going to happen is basically webinars or resources every Sunday. So these are going to be successful role models across various disabilities who will be sharing what are the problems they have faced, how they worked around some of these problems, to kind of like inspire you and help you understand the problems as well, to give you some more food for thought, essentially, in terms of what kinds of projects you can work on. So that's kind of like something else that will be happening. This Sunday, for example, we'll be sharing a recorded resource. Similarly, we'll have a mix of recorded and live sessions happening, and we'll basically be sharing more details on Discord every week about that. But it's going to be every Sunday, essentially. And the last thing is the Employer Connect, which is essentially our inclusive hiring initiative. Now, every year we have a lot of corporate partners join us, and they're interested to consider people with disabilities for positions. It could be, software engineer, data science, but it can also be HR, finance-related jobs, consulting, et cetera, or accessibility testing, accessibility development. So if you are looking for a job, or if you would like to connect with a corporate partner, if you go to the iSTEM portal, which is where you registered in the first place, at portal.istemai.com, there's a section there called Job Opportunities. You can basically go there and submit that application. If you do know that we do have the consent to share your details with our corporate partners, so please only complete that form if you are okay with us sharing your information, including your disability information, with our corporate partners. And we basically continuously then communicate with our partners and send them these details, who then directly reach out to you, especially people with disabilities. This is only for people with disabilities, who directly reach out to you should there be a match. So this is kind of like the inclusive hiring program. Every year we've had a couple of people getting internships and full-time positions. So really recommend you to check it out if you are looking for a job, or are looking for a job change, or are looking for an internship, what have you, right? If you're in any of those buckets, I strongly recommend you to check it out. So those are the three streams of the Confluence. Any questions now on any of these, including the hackathon that we were talking about?
Can you just brief the last topic thing, Karthik? Just like I missed out a bit slightly, my connection was gone.
Yeah, so inclusive hiring is essentially, if you're looking for a job in the tech sector, whether it could be coding related jobs like software engineer, AI, or it could be consulting or HR, or accessibility development, testing, what have you, there is a section on the iSTEM portal, which is the portal that you registered on, through which you got the Discord link that we're managing for all registrations. There's a thing there called Job Opportunities on the dashboard. So if you're interested, go ahead and apply, and we will basically share your application with our corporate partners. So that is more for inclusive hiring for anyone who is looking for a corporate job, especially in the tech sector, whether that is a software related role or a coding or a non-coding role. Both are okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, anyone?
I have a question here, Vaishnavi here, by the way. So
Yes.
I have, since I'm just beginner in coding and all, would that be like I was wondering where I could fit into this inclusion?
Yeah, we actually deliberately made this decision to not limit by coding, because by coding experience, because there's so much that you can offer, right from sharing your idea to how it should be implemented, the design, the usability, what makes sense, what does not make sense, and also of course again, how should it be, getting more opinion from your community, right? Reaching out to your community, getting their feedback, getting it back to your team, right? So really assuming the product/project manager role is something that we definitely see a lot of potential. Later, once the product is ready, making sure it's accessible. If it's not, how can they make it accessible? Really helping out with that. So I think those are some of the suggestions that we have, but we really challenge you to try and see how can you contribute best, because we do know from our past experience that everyone, including people who cannot code or who do not have as much coding experience, have typically had a very good experience contributing to their team. So we really encourage you to kind of think of innovative ways in which you can add value to your team. But yeah, I think there are just so many ways you can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, one question that also comes up is, are there any computing resources available? At present, the answer is no. Just wanted to preempt that and just say, unfortunately, no, not at this time, but we will let you guys know if we're able to get some credits for, let's say, AWS or Azure or Google Cloud or what have you. So we will keep you updated. But as it stands right now, we don't have any computing resources.
Any questions in the chat?
No, there's no question. The chat box.
Well, if no questions, I think we will call it a day here. And Cheryl, you can stop the recording, and we will share this recording.
But
with everyone.
at the end, I just want to request, like, if you think that in your network anyone else who can participate in the hackathon or could be benefited out of Confluence by any way, feel free to share this information within your community, because the registration is still open, so people would be joining in. So just share this information, spread it across within your community.
Especially people that you think you could be excellent team members with or teammates.
Yeah,
with.
exactly.
If there are people that you think would be very solid, will bring like a very unique perspective or help out and that kind of stuff, please share this information. The registrations are open until March 25th.
And also, since I only see 20 odd folks over here, highly recommend that you pass on these information to other folks who could not join the session, uh, so that they are also on the same level with you.
Yeah, we will be sharing the recording as well.
Yeah, we
Great.
will be sharing the recording anyway.
Yeah. Awesome. We can stop the recording.